you keep on solving things, then it would look very easy to understand convex optimization. So I'm going to share today's slide, and there I would, I think it is best approach to go with a lot of examples here, and also you all also try to find come out questions which are unsolvable, pass to me, and I will send this answer as well. You can ask question in between as well, because most of problem I told that this problem will come from your machine learning and control theory kind of things. But right now it is just a starting. We are in a starting phase. When we will be in third segment, that convex optimization problem, that time we will solve a lot of convex optimization problem from different segment. Also, we will go to use one very interesting kind of solver. That one is meant for R, MATLAB, everywhere that one is meant for, that CVX solver. It is designed and developed by Stephen Boyd along with one of his student, some Parekh, something like Neil Parekh. So we will talk about those solver as well, and how to solve a convex problem in those solver. And in order to understand that solver CVX, we should have a very good understanding to identify a given function is convex or not. So till now we had already seen a few techniques where it is talking about uh, using Hessian. If Hessian happens to be positive definite, then we can say that function would be convex. And through that first order characterization also we can show prove that tangent always support from the behind the concerned function, underlying function. So those are a little bit impractical kind of method. If you are simply taking Hessian and your number of sample happens to be thousand or million, something like that, and someone is asking, please verify the. We know everyone might be aware of that. Hessian is what kind of function? Is it differentiable or not? Anyone, would you like to answer? Softmax function is what, differentiable or not?
No, sir.
Everyone might have known it is different. Softmax function is very nice function. It is differentiable function. Have to see that it is differentiable. It is just involving exponential term, logarithm of logs of
Yeah, right.
exponential kind of term. So it is a very nice function, differentiable function. But where is the problem? Problem will arise when number of sample happens to be large. If suppose you are having 1,000 samples, then how can you differentiate that? The derivative, that gradient of that Hessian, it will take several pages. If gradient is taking several pages, then Hessian, how much pages it will take? Because Hessian happens to be matrix. So it is very complicated kind of things. So if you know modern technique to identify a convexity of a function, then job is done. Just after seeing the function, from the one glimpse, you can say that, or you can claim that the given function is a convex or not. So that's way now onward we will talk about those kind of technique. That technique we are calling it convex preserving technique. I'm going to share this slide today. So it is very much essential to know convexity of a given function, whether it is convex or not. Irrespective of complication of function, we are not going to uh, calculate Hessian. Without calculating Hessian, we will identify convexity of a function. So are you able to see the slide? Anyone respond?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's
Okay,
visible.
fine. Okay, then I'm going forward. And I hope that in this segment you all should have a lot of questions in order to understand this concept. This one is very important from machine learning and deep learning perspective. Very much important, especially for deep learning perspective, because in deep learning the network is very deep and very much connected, and that's where dimension of parameter happens to be very big. So you need to apply this technique there in order to identify the convexity of a function or objective function or convexity of a cost function or loss function, whatever. There are many names of those things. So those things we will discuss about. So that here, especially I'm calling here the modern technique of establishing convexity of function. We are calling it calculus of convex function. outline of my today's lectures are the following. First, I would like to discuss about conic combination of convex function. Suppose we are having a function f1 and f2. Then, if we define a conic combination of those given function and f1 and f2 happens to be convex, simply it implies that conic combination is also a convex function. So this criteria, just what we will see that if a function happens to be in this form, summation form, so try to look into each component. If each component is convex, and we can simply say that the resultant is function is convex. So conic combination means here we are taking a linear combination where alpha 1 and alpha 2 happens to be non-negative, greater than equal to 0. This kind of combination always we call it conic combination. A linear combination with non-negative scalars, or simply we can call it non-negative linear combination is a convex combination. So under this operation, convexity always preserved. Then there would be second operation, affine composition. If you compose a function with affine function, then it would be always a convex function. So those things we will discuss again. So pointwise, there is again a pointwise maximum and pointwise supremum. All these preserve convexity. Then a very important operation is this one, composition of convex to convex function. So it in general you will see that composition of two convex function is not convex, but in a special case there is a special way through that you can compose two convex function in a convex way. So those are special pattern we will talk about, and after that we will talk about that there is a very interesting kind of phenomena apart from whatever function you are having, always whether it is convex or not. But if you define a conjugate function, then conjugate always happens to be a convex function. And one generalized concept of convexity that we are calling it log concavity or log convexity. These are coming with respect to probability density function, which happens to be not a convex function, like sigmoid function is not a convex function. But if you take log, then it becomes a convex function. So those kind of things we will discuss about. So coming to conic combination of convex function, first I will like to discuss about. So what is conic combination? So take any two convex function f1 and f2, then define a conic combination. That means non-negative combination. Then non-negative combination, it would be also a convex function. Convexity of f1 f2 will imply the convexity of this. So one example is log barrier function. It is very interesting when you are having a solution in the interior, not on the boundary. Remember that whenever you are taking a function in general, then optimal value may occur at boundary as well. But there are scenario pattern where people are not interested to find solution on the boundary. In that perspective, they used to put barrier function. So that log barrier function is very important. So how can we define convexity of this one? So if you try to look into this log barrier function, it is defined as summation I vary from 1 to m log of b I minus ai transpose x. So first we need to define the domain of this one. So when this function would be defined, when this argument would be a positive number, because for negative number logarithmic is not defined. That's why this is the domain. Domain is given by this condition. So what does it give? If you try to plot in, so it's talking about polyhedral. So if you plot this one, so it will come like a polyhedral, like this way, some bounded region. This kind of a structure will come. So here log barrier function is saying that if your x is taking value on the boundary, then log, that means this quantity becomes 0. So at about 0, then in that case log 0, what is the value of log 0? It will go to minus infinity, but minus sign we have already taken. So this function will shoot up to plus infinity. So that one is a very complicated situation. So that's why this function we are calling it a log barrier function. And we know that if you try to look into this function from convex combination perspective, what does it say? It is talking about summation of several convex function. So it is, we know that if you simply define log x is a concave function, but if you take negative, then what is the graph of negative log x? It would be something like this way. This is the plot of minus log x. So minus log x, easily you can say that it is a convex function. If you sum several log x, so in total this function would be a convex function, because it is summation of convex functions. So that's why log barrier function is a convex function. So from this result, it is very much true that log barrier function is a convex function. Why? Because it is talking about summation of convex function. Another criteria is that we can generalize. You can leave it right now. Generalization of a conic combination you can write like this way. What you do, define f of x, y, and for each y, f of x is a convex function. It is convexity with respect to x only. Then what you do, you exhaust y, and with a positive weight function. In that perspective, this integral is again a convex function. I will discuss this later. Right now, just you can pass it. Here, another example is coming as affine composition of a convex function always preserve convexity. What you do, take a function, convex function from Rn to R, and a affine transformation from Rm to Rn. That means affine transformation. That means we are having rotation or projection kind of things, and it is ax plus b, and b is due to b, it is coming, affineness is coming due to b. So this is a affine transformation. So if we compose f and t, that means f of tx, then what structure we will get? We will get f of ax plus b. So this function is always convex, provided f is convex. So convexity of f implies convexity of this function. You are changing the argument. Here your argument is what? Call it y equal to ax. So your argument has been transformed finally. So due to that, it is always a convex function, provided that your enclosing function f is convex. This one is enclosing function. If it is convex, then the resultant function would be a convex function. So through example, you can observe that suppose you are defining a norm of, you know that norm of x is a convex function. But if you define norm of ax plus b, then again it would be a convex function, because we do here affine composition. Due to that, this function is again a convex function. So these are very simple result, where I will talk about example where I can apply. So we are taking one example. F, it is a function of two variable, f of x1 x2 equal to here first term is x1 minus twice of x2 to the power 4. So you can observe that here there are two part of this function. One part is this one term is this one, another term is this one. So can you directly say that whether it is a convex function or not? Because I'm not suggesting to calculate Hessian. Hessian is very complicated for this kind of complicated function. So try to look clearly this function. So what does it look like? So if you observe first part, it is talking about x1 minus x2 all square to the power 4. So consider this as y. So just write y equal to x1 minus twice of x2. I'm talking about this first function. I'm calling it f1. And second function I'm calling it f2. So first function you can write it like this way. So f1 of x is coming like this way. Twice of x2. That means this is talking about one affine kind of function. It is affine or linear function. Now, if you write a f1x in term of y, then what does form it will take? It will talk about y to the power 4. So your f1 is a function having power 4. So what is the graph of y to the power 4? It would be simply like this kind of function. So it is a function which is having a positive curvature. Curvature is upward, opening upward. So due to that, we can claim that y to the power 4 is a convex function. Now, here y, if you take you substitute in place of y x1 minus twice of x2. So this one is what? Affine function or linear function. So we in last result we had already seen that if you are taking affine composition of a convex function, then that function would be a convex function. So due to that, it is a convex function. First part is a convex function. Now similarly come to second part. So in second part, f2 of x is, you can write it like this way. Suppose you consider this argument as y, so then you can write it like this way: e to the power 2 is a constant, it is not going to affect much. So e to the power, you can write it like this way: 2 times e to the power y. And what is your y? Y is again a affine function. Y equal to, that means it is a line which is not passing through. So it is a fine function. It is, sorry, it is a plane not passing through origin. But here it was a plane passing through origin. This y was plane passing through origin. But this is a plane which is not passing through origin. And equation is y equal to 3 times x1 plus 2 times x2 minus 5. So what you observe? Again, you observe that this f2 is e to the power of y, and y happens to a affine function. Due to that, and we know that exponential function is always a convex function. What is the plot of exponential function? Plot of exponential function, it would be like this way. This is the plot of exponential function. So from the plot also we can observe that it is having concavity which is upward, opening up. So that means positive curvature. So that's why it is a convex. E to the power y is a convex function, but here y is coming from as an affine function. Y is defined as a affine function. So that's why this total function is talking about, second component is talking about affine composition of a convex function. Due to that, this second part is also convex. Now first part we had already seen that convex, second part is also convex, and sum of two convex function always a convex function. Due to that, the resultant given function f is a convex function. Here you don't do any calculation, just you apply above to result, and with the help of that you can establish the convexity of this given function. So that's why it looks a very interesting kind of concept to establish convexity of a complicated function. Now further, I have taken one more example. Suppose you are taking another function f of x1 x2 equal to x1 square plus twice of x1 x2 plus thrice of x2 square plus twice of x minus 3 times x2 plus e to the power x. So what about this function? If you if you talk about this function and you are willing to establish the convexity of this function, definitely it is a very complicated job to find a Hessian. So what you will do, smartly look into the function. So you have to be very much attentive in nature to establish convexity. So observe this function. So what kind of function this is? This is a quadratic function, and this one is the exponential function. So we are having two. This function is having two parts. One function is call it f1, and second part we call it f2. So separately we will establish convexity based on the previous two results. So and finally, in order once we will able to establish convexity of f1 and f2, then we can finally talk about convexity of the function. So f1 is what? It is talking about quadratic form. So quadratic function. This one is a quadratic function. So a quadratic function always we can write it like this way. So here what we can write it like this way: x transpose. A quadratic function is always having a quadratic term. X transpose twice of x, then here 2, and here 6 will come. 2 is common, you can take it out, times. This idea is coming directly from calculus. If someone is not able to visualize this representation, then I may help. If you are having question, you can ask. I will help you to write in this form. So directly I'm converting this. I'm writing this function in this quadratic form. So X transpose this matrix plus here what would be here? Q transpose. Q is what here? Q transpose. Q is here 2 minus 3 transpose X. So this is your quadratic function. Here x is a two. X is what? X is your two-dimensional vector. X is having two coordinates. First coordinate is x1, and second coordinate is x2. All these representation are just matrix calculation. If you calculate it, you will get your quadratic form in the scalar as a scalar value. X transpose will talk about this row representation. If you multiply with this matrix 2 times 2, 6, what you will get? X1. So from here you can simplify it, or better you can take it out to outside. So simply take x1, x2. If you take out 2 outside, so it would be 1. It would be, so you can write it like this way. It would be 1, 1, 1, 3. One, 1, 1, 3. If you want to calculate, you can check it. It is an exercise. You can check it. You will get the same this function you will get if you do multiplication. So x1, so you do multiplication like this way. Multiply this one x1 plus x2. So if you multiply this one with x1 plus x2, and further you have to multiply here. So x1 square plus x2 square will come. X1 square plus x2 square, and similarly you will get similarly easily you will get this relation. And to take it out. So now what you observe, so here in quadratic form, if you talk about this function, what kind of a structure it is taking? It is a quadratic function, and here just find the nature of this matrix, coefficient matrix. If coefficient matrix happens to be positive definite, easily you can establish the convexity of the given function. So what is the nature of this coefficient matrix? It is just 2 by 2. So first principal minor is m1 is 1, and second principal minor is what? 3 minus 1. That means 3 minus 1 is 2. So principal minor happens to be positive. So that's way here both are, first principal minor is positive, second principal minor is positive. You can say that this matrix is a positive definite matrix. Due to that, this one is a positive definite. It is always a positive. So now, so due to that, what does it becomes? It is a convex function. If you find the Hessian of this one, it is a very simple quadratic function. It's very easy to find Hessian. Hessian would be this matrix itself. So it is a convex function. From the Hessian test, you can establish it is a very simple. It is a convex function. Also, you can plot the graph of this one. There you can visualize. So f1 is a convex. What is f2? F2 is just exponential function. E to the power uh, x1. So f2 is also a exponential function. It always happens to be a convex function. So both f1 and f2 are convex function. Due to that, you can say that f is a summation of two convex functions. So that's why this given function is a convex function. Another example I have given here. You can practice this example. So this one is here. F1 is e to the power x1 minus x2 plus x3, and here f2 is e to the power x2, and f3 is just x1 linear function. So you are having three functions. So establish convexity of three functions. With the help of that, you can talk about convexity of this function. So easily this function you can establish the convexity. So this one is exponential function, and it is talking about exponential of affine function. So due to that exponential affine function, that means affine combination. So due to affine composition, you can talk about first part is convex functions, but similarly you can see that it is about 2x2. It is exponential function, so that's why it is a convex. And x1 is what? It is a linear function. So by default it would be a convex. So it is talking about this second function is talking about summation of three convex function, and summation, it is a positive summation. So that's why it would be the resultant function would be a convex function. Similarly, you can look into this function. If I'm asking find the convexity of the negative of log ln is meant for log with natural base. That means base is Napier constant P. So what about convexity of this function? Whether it is a convex or not? So it is a convex. How? So apply the law of log. So what is law of log say? So if there is a product, so then product will break into summation due to operation of log. So so the resultant function, it would take this form: ln x1 minus ln x2, and we know that minus log x is a convex function. That in the very first graph I had already told that this is the plot of minus log x. It is going like this way: minus log x. So minus log x is always a convex function, and this fx is a summation of 2 minus log x. So that's way the resultant function is a convex function. You don't have to check for Hessian and other things for complete function. Now we are going for one more important result, that one is talking about point-wise maximum. So if you are having collection of function and you are finding point-wise maximum, then the point-wise maximum of a collection of convex function happens to be a convex function. So it is scenario like this way. If you are having two functions, f1 and f2, and if you are finding point-wise maximum, what is the point-wise? So this f1 is convex function. So automatically the graph will have a this kind of a structure. It is having a positive curvature opening up, and f2 is also a convex function. So it is having this kind of a structure. Now we need to find maximum of f1 and f2 point wise. So what is the maximum? So if you are, this is the junction point. So in left of junction point, the intersecting point, which one is the maximum? F2 is maximum. So that's where this portion we are taking. This is maximum. If you go in right of this intersecting point, what is the maximum? Maximum is here f1. So this is the region where we are having maximum of f1 and f2. This is the region where f1 and f2 maximum. So from the graph easily you can say that this maximum part of both the function f1 and f2 happens to be convex due to convexity of f1 and f2. Similarly, what you do, if you take define minimum, if you define minimum of f1 and f2, then minimum of f1 and f2 is not a convex function, because minimum, this is the minimum part, minimum of f1 and f2. This is minimum. So here non-convexity is coming here. Even if your function f1 and f2 are convex, but minimum of f1 and f2 is may not be a convex function. But maximum is always a convex function. Maximum of two convex function is always a convex function. That is the result, point-wise maximum result. So always what you do, if you are having m number of function and you are finding maximum of those m number of function point-wise, then you can easily say that the resultant function f is always a convex function. So this result is very interesting from several perspectives. One more example I have already taken here. So here there are three functions. This is f1, this one is f2, this one is f3. All three functions are happen to be convex. From the graph having positive curvature, you can establish, you can see, visualize that these are just one-dimensional functions. Easily you can visualize. So these are convex. But if you willing to define maximum of these f1, f2, f3, so what would be this one? This is the maximum. F1, f2, f3. Clearly, this maximum part is again a convex function. But if you are willing to define minimum, then minimum would come like this way. This is the minimum. Then it will go like this way. So it would be. So minimum is not a convex function. Minimum of convex function happens to be in generally not a convex function, but maximum is always a convex function. So very simple example in robotics and anywhere if you are going, so you always see piecewise linear function. What is piecewise linear function? Piecewise linear function is nothing, just it is talking about maximum of several linear functions. So you take several linear function, then define maximum operator there. So due to that, whatever structure you will get, the structure is actually piecewise linear. So here you can observe that we have taken several hyperplane in R2. In hyperplane in R2 is a line. So one hyperplane is called this H1. Second hyperplane is this, call this H2. And third hyperplane is this one, call this H3. Okay, so there are several hyperplane. What you do, so try to define maximum of these H1 and H2, H3 maximum. So call it max of, all these are happening in R2. H1, H2, and H3. So H1, H2, H3, these are just short name. But if you want to write in equation form, so what is your H1? H1 is talking about A1 transpose. Definitely it will have a normal direction. A1 transpose X1, and it will have certain bias. Why? Because it is not passing through origin. So A1 transpose H1, you can call it A1 transpose X. A1 transpose X equal to B1. H2 you can call it A2 transpose. This is the representation, equation representation. A2 transpose X equal to bias. It is also having a bias. And A3 H3 you can call it A3 transpose. This is the generic representation of a hyperplane. Many times I have already told. So always go for both the representation for better picture. Now we are finding a maximum of these. So what is the maximum of these three hyperplane in this segment? In this segment, what we observe, this is the maximum part. Then if you come here, this is the maximum part. If you come here, this is the maximum part. So this maximum part, if you try to look into, it looks piecewise linear, and this one is a affine function. But from the piecewise linear of these affine function, what structure you are getting? You are getting a convex structure, because affine function happens to be a convex function. So you are getting this resultant is a convex function. So here there is a line. What is the curvature of line, curvature of line happens to be 0. But if you take piecewise maximization of pointwise maximization of a linear function, then there is a increment in the curvature. You observe increment in the curvature. So you can say that simply line is on the boundary of affine function. Now, if you take maximum pointwise maximum, due to that you are observing more convexity. So this function is more convex. You can say that more convex with respect to affine convex. So it is more convex function you are getting due to this pointwise operation. Similarly, if you are taking plane, hyperplane, if you are in 3D, this is the example in 2D. If you are in 3D, what is the structure of geometry of hyperplane? Geometry of hyperplane happens to be a plane. So if you are in 3D, so what you do? Similarly, take pointwise maximum of several plane. So if you are taking pointwise maximum of several plane, then what kind of a structure you will get? It is a convex structure. So pointwise maximization of a convex function is always giving a convex function. So this is one test. You can apply it several way to identify the convexity of functions. So here one more concept I will talk about, pointwise supremum. Then I will go for few examples. So suppose you are taking function fxy, where for every fixed y, f of x is convex in x. So if you take supremum over all those y, then the resultant function g is a convex function. It is just a generalization of the previous example, pointwise maximum. One example, in the last segment in convex set, we had defined about supremum of that means we had defined support. This we are calling it support of a set. So you can say that it is a support of a set in the direction of x. SUP represent for supremum, SUPP represent for support. So support of C in the direction of x. So here C would come here. So we are finding support of C in the direction of x. So if you are taking this kind of set, convex set, like even whatever, it is not mentioned whether C is convex or non-convex. So if suppose someone is willing to find support of this function in this particular direction, suppose in this direction you want to willing to find support of this set. So direction is given. So what is the support of direction? So you take points of C and keep projecting along this. Take any point here, keep project in the direction of x. Take any point here from the set and keep on projecting on the in the direction of x. So which point will have maximum support? So this point will have maximum support. So this point, if you project like project means perpendicular, you are putting so like this way. So here this point is having maximum projection length in the direction of x. So that means maximum projection length. That means this point is your desired optimal point. Call it y bar. This and y bar is giving maximum value of x transpose y. So for every keep on changing direction, you will get different support. So this is the maximum support in the direction of x, in the direction. Similarly, if you take another direction, in this direction, this point will have maximum support. So likewise, you have to define like this way. This point will have maximum support. This is the maximum support. It's coming like in this way. Length of maximum support. So like this way. So several direct for with respect to each direction, you can define support of a given set. This is your set C. So with respect to each direction, you can define a support. So support function always happens to be a point-wise supremum. It happens to be, we are taking point-wise supremum. So you can observe it is talking about this. So due to that, support function is always a convex function. Also, if you want to find farthest point in a given set with respect to a farthest point with farthest point, then what would be that the function? We can define it like this way. This one is also supremum. It is involving supremum, finding supremum over a set. And here, with respect to y variable, then with respect to x, we are not just doing anything with x. In that perspective, if you take supremum of this norm with respect to y, it would over c. Then y will be exhausted. Only remaining thing would be x. The remaining function would be a convex function. Then also one more important, very interesting kind of maximum, this pointwise supremum example is this finding the maximum eigenvalue of a symmetric matrix. So this here it is not a quadratic function. Here what is the variable? Because y has been exhausted by taking supremum over c. So it is just a linear function. Y transpose x. X is a matrix. I had already told that capital letter will denote a matrix and a small will denote vector. So it is a function of symmetric matrix X. So again, this function is a convex function. So in next class, I will discuss. I think time is already 45 minutes over. So in next class, we will discuss about a few more kind of a special operation there. We can identify convexity of function using those special result. We don't have to go for calculation. Using a special result, we can establish convexity. If you are having any question, you are welcome. Otherwise, I am going to wind up today's class. Any question? Regarding attendance, I had already created a link for attendance. Go and mark your presence there.